Welcome to the first ever episode of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services and looking forward to having some great discussion in the coming weeks and months. We fear there is enough negativity out there right now, and we believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are very lucky today to have two terrific guests with us. From the United Way of Gaston County, we have Slade, who is the current president of the United Way, and Leigh Spach, who is the campaign and donor relations manager. And full disclosure, I am on the board of the United Way, and that might be one of the reasons they are our first guest. So I just want to put that out there. So we're going to get started and talk about the United Way of Gaston County. So first, I'm going to throw it out to Linda. Linda, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you end up here at the United Way of Gaston County?
Well, interesting story. I have lived in Gaston County now 3 years almost, having lived here previously for almost 30 years, and then moving to the mountains for a job with the United Way there, and then coming back. So I enjoy hiking in the mountains. My husband and the rest of the family are all over everywhere. Husband is in the mountains, so I'm here, he's there, and it's kind of nice having both, you know. How did I end up at United Way? I was asked to join the United Way of Gaston County in 2007. Went from there to the High Country United Way as executive director, and then loved being in United Way work, so I came back here.
That's terrific. We're very happy to have you here. Ms. Spach, how did you end up, tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you end up here at United Way of Gaston County, where I think you've been for 20 years or 30 years now?
16. So my story is I got drugged across the river by my husband, who I met 16 years ago, and I have to admit that I was a little apprehensive about coming to Gaston County because growing up in Charlotte, you hear all kinds of things, but I am happy to say that Gaston County is great, and I really think we need to improve our reputation. I raised our 3 children here. It was a wonderful experience for them. It's close enough to the big city. If you want to get to it, you can, but the people here, I think, was the number one thing that blew me away. How giving they were, how much they cared about their community. So I'm very happy to say that I live in Gaston County now.
Well, that's terrific. And just for confirmation, Fred is a Wolfpack guy, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And we're a house divided.
So it took a Wolfpack guy to get you across the river?
Yes, it did.
Very good.
Intelligent people out of NC State. Not quite as good as Wake Forest or East Carolina.
All right, let's move on. Moving on.
So I got to United Way. A good friend of mine, Amy Boyd, and I started talking, and I was still working in Charlotte at the time in commercial real estate, and I wanted to take a part-time position, and she introduced me to the Alliance for Children and Youth. So I started working with them, and 10 years ago, just about 10 years ago in June, I was approached by United Way, and here I am today.
Well, thank you. That's good. That's great for the United Way and great for Gaston County. So maybe I'll ask Leigh, you first. What can you tell us about the mission of the United Way?
Well, our mission is to unite our community to help and care for one another. And the way I look at that is not only do we help support our core partner agency programs, but we also are the group that brings the right individuals from corporate partners to agencies within the community to the table to discuss what the problems are, what the community needs, and how we can better Gaston County. So we're the convener of bringing people together. And Linda will talk a little more about the Virus Relief Fund, but I think that's a great example of how we did that during this pandemic.
That's a great segue, Leigh. So Linda, what can you tell us about some of the initiatives, both current, past, of the United Way here in Gaston County?
I think a lot of people seem to think that all we are fundraisers, and that is certainly not the case at United Way. To move on from what Leigh just said about the Gaston Virus Relief Fund, when it became apparent that we were heading into totally uncharted waters last March this time, I reached out to the Gaston Community Foundation, and we talked about the possibility of coming together and bringing other partners to the table to see how we could better meet some of the needs that we were starting to see come out of this pandemic. So we started the Gaston Virus Relief Fund, and that has been a great help to a lot of individuals as well as nonprofits here in Gaston County. It's raised more, right around $500,000, and we have given out $500,000 in that fund since last year. I don't think we ever thought that we would still be looking at grants for that long of a time, but we have been. Other things that people probably don't know that the United Way handles is the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, which is a federally funded program to bring funding to Gaston County for emergency needs such as shelter for homeless people, as well as food services as well. We also support the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, which is a phenomenal program for preschool children from birth to 5 years old to be enrolled to get a book a month to encourage early literacy skills as well as the love for reading. We've been an affiliate since 2014, I think. So, we currently have like 1,135 children enrolled in this program in Gaston County, so that's a great help too. And then we do focus, as Leigh said, we're focusing on education, financial stability, and health, and how all of those things kind of hold hands together to make our community strong.
So to your point, yeah, the United Way is involved in a lot more things than just fundraising or funding a few organizations, here or there, which I think is kind of what the United Way might be viewed as, over the years. So, Leigh, I'm going to go back to you. Can you think of one thing maybe or two that you're most proud of accomplishing since during your time here at the United Way?
Well, I think it's more than just one thing. So I was hired initially as just the coordinator to help with Taste of Gaston, which was a big event that we used to do in downtown Gastonia. It drew over 10,000 people. So I was brought on board for that. When that event was done, I was pretty much done with my role. So I have progressed to part-time resource development, and then Linda offered me a full-time position about a year and a half ago as resource development. And I'm very proud of that because I never thought that I would be sitting in the chair as a full-time person at United Way. So, and I think, my accomplishments with that is I have been able to bring more individual donors in. We have about $100,000 worth of donations through individuals alone. I was able to maintain those that were already on board and bring new ones on board.
That's terrific, and I can attest as a board member that to the work that you've done in the past years. So, Linda, what about you in the shorter time that you've been here with United Way? What is something that you might say you're most proud of accomplishing?
I think most recently it would be the Gaston Virus Relief Fund. I really believe that we showed that United Way could be responsive in a very short amount of time to jump on what needed to happen immediately and bringing other people together. We brought a whole lot of different funders to the table, other organizations and individuals who really got creative in finding ways to raise money for this fund. We put together a quick group of people to look at applications on a weekly basis, and we had those people from across the entire county, from east to west, which was phenomenal in that point too. So most recently, that's been it. The other thing is just being part of United Way again. I think Gaston County is a great place to live, work, and play, and I believe United Way has a big part of making that better for people.
So you may have already, each of you may have already answered this question. So, but why is Gaston County better because the United Way is here?
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
So the way I like to tell this story is, I think we all know the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And to me, think about that movie, and y'all are going to have to edit this because the man's name, Bailey.
George Bailey.
George Bailey.
George Bailey starts out, the name just went poof.
That's good.
But anyway, George Bailey is a man who finds himself in a horrible situation. And he decides to jump off a bridge and end his life. And Charlie, the little angel, comes by and saves him and takes him back through his life and shows what it would actually be like without George Bailey. Think what Gaston County would be like without United Way. Would there be a boys and girls after school program Succeed After 3? Would there be the YMCA programs that we fund? The smaller agencies that so many people forget about, the Alliance for Children and Youth, they solely concentrate on graduation rates. What would happen to those at-risk youth in this county? The list goes on and on. Our crisis agencies, from Cherryville to Mount Holly, the people they help stay in their homes, pay their bills, put food on the table, try to educate them to become self-sufficient. Where would we be in Gaston County without United Way?
That's a terrific explanation. Yeah, I think we most of us don't realize the actual impact that we have on others and the things we're doing. Linda, anything you want to add to that?
Absolutely not.
That was a terrific.
That was
listen.
great.
That was terrific. I'm going to kind of go off here a little bit unplanned, but what has been some of the challenges? It's almost been a year to the week when I guess Gaston County started shutting down. North Carolina started shutting down a little bit. What have been some of the specific challenges that United Way has faced in the last 12 months or so?
Let us count
Where do we
the
start?
ways. Yeah, where do we start? Let us count the ways. One is being able to get in front of people. A lot of our work is talking to people in the workplace, and all of that came to a screeching halt, and I do mean to a screeching halt. So we were not able to engage as many companies in the work that we do because we simply could not get in front of people and their employees to discuss the work that we do. That was a big one. Secondly, we found that we had to rely a whole lot more on social media to get the word out about who we were. Now, yes, going back to the Virus Relief Fund, that seemed to be a good thing, that was positive in the sense that people saw United Way reacting. But I think Leigh will agree that fundraising this year has been a real challenge, probably not for just us, but every other nonprofit. And the events. We have great events. We have Purse Power. We have our annual meeting. We even have Volunteer Day in the fall, and all of that was stopped too. We couldn't, do any of that. So, I'm ready to see people again.
Yeah, I think that's, everybody knows that the last year has been challenging, but sometimes you have to get specific because maybe we don't realize how it affects different organizations, whether it's a nonprofit, a company, cities, or whatever the case may be. So thanks for sharing that. So, Linda, what do you envision the United Way in general, and then also the United Way of Gaston County looking like in 5 to 10 years?
The modern United Way is really a different animal than what it's been in the last 100 years. United Way started off as a collection place, one central place to raise money and then distribute it to agencies. You're going to see in the future, and I believe this truly, that United Way is going to evolve more into a convener of change for the community, a change agent. We're going to be seen as the problem solvers. And I think we're going to be looking at the community through the lens of the community needs and not through the lens of an individual agency or program or anything like that. So we're going to be moving upstream, so to speak, and looking at root causes. So we're not pulling people out of the water downstream, but we're finding out why they're falling in the water, so to speak, to begin with. So that's what you're going to see, I think, in the shift in the United Way focus in the future. Is more of those things that we can make a long-lasting impact and improve conditions for people in our community.
So, Leigh, from a fundraising and resource development perspective, how do you see the United Way looking or changing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think that change is already upon us. With the corporate buyouts that we have seen locally, the large companies that have supported us very generously over the years have seen, I can think of 3 right now, buyouts. Those campaigns are dropping. I won't say they are failing, but they are definitely dropping. We're going to have to get creative with our fundraising, figure out how to draw more individuals in, and we need to figure out a way to communicate with our donors. And that's always been a challenge for us with the employee workplace campaign, because the employees give money, but so often we don't get their information because of certain rules within a company. So for us to follow up with them as individuals, to build a relationship, has been very difficult. So we're going to have to move forward from companies. And I think targeting local companies like GSM, my husband's company, and Ron and Janet Seitz company, those people are going to be key to this community. They're small business owners. They believe in Gaston County. They are from Gaston County, and I think that's where our fundraising needs to go.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the coming year. So this one we're gonna get maybe not so get away from some of these heavy questions that are have been so on top of our minds the last 12 months especially. So this is to both of you. If you weren't involved with the United Way, what do you think you would be doing?
I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere.
That's extremely nice.
I really wouldn't be anywhere else. I can't think of where I'd be.
I'd be changing the world in another way, probably, but but I like this work, so maybe I'd be retired. I don't know.
I don't know. The two of you don't seem to be the retiring type at the moment, anyway. But
No.
maybe one of these days. So anything else you'd like to share real quick about the United Way before we kind of get on to some other local community questions?
I have 2 things. One, I want to give Linda a shout out. Just talking about being able to bring the right people to the table, we have a great relationship with the city of Gastonia, and they reached out to Linda because she continues to build that relationship. And we've had the offer to help with HUD funding. They had gotten $100,000 to help with utility bills for the city. And so we said, yes, we can do that. So we're the administrator of those funds, and we've hired Rita Davis to come on part-time with city funding, and she is working that program and taking all of the applications for those in need, and then Jennifer Grant and Janet in our office are handling the finance end of that. So people trust us as the administrators with their dollars. Again, the Virus Relief Fund. So.
Yeah, that's terrific. Yeah, again, I think this goes back to the point we talked about at the beginning, where United Way is much more than just funding a few programs or organizations here or there. So again, this is called Gaston's Great, and we have a little section here. We're gonna talk about some specific Gaston County items. So I got a few questions for both of you, real quick. This is called the Gaston's Great Speed Round, but we're not going to actually talk faster. But this is where we're headed. So, Linda, favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
Chocolate ribble, banana pudding, peach, peanut butter, grape.
That's more than one.
That's right. I can't choose.
So, milkshake or just a cup of?
Cup.
Okay.
Unless it's hot fudge sundae.
That's a big list. Leigh?
I think Linda's got a sweet tooth. I'm not sure. Peach and milkshake.
Peach and milkshake. Excellent. Okay. Sundrop or Cheerwine?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I don't think she's answering your questions very well.
Well, there's an and in there. If it's barbecue, then there's a Cheerwine. If it's a hot afternoon, there might be a Sundrop.
Okay. Got it. Fair enough.
I'm Cheerwine.
Okay, Cheerwine all the way. What about favorite local barbecue? And or you prefer the Eastern or Western North Carolina style?
I grew up with Eastern style barbecue, and that's where it is.
Okay, Leigh?
Eastern style for this
wow.
girl, too.
Going to the other side of the state for that. Favorite Shield Museum exhibit?
I like it all. Favorite dinosaurs. I like dinosaurs. Always like dinosaurs. Okay, so dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are pretty spectacular. Leigh?
I think we're in agreement with the dinosaurs, but I don't know if it's technically an exhibit, but that planetarium is fabulous.
Planetarium is a
is.
unique and special thing we do have here in Gaston County.
One of the first things that we did with my children in Gaston County, do y'all remember them having elephant rides at the Shield? It's been years ago.
I do not remember that.
I
no.
don't remember
Yep.
that.
We all got to ride real live elephants. That was pretty cool.
Wow, sounds like a Indiana Jones movie.
It was.
All right, here's a very important question. UNC, Duke, or NC State? You normally hear that question. Most people say UNC or Duke, but of course I have to throw in or NC State. So I'm going to assume Lee's going to say Wake Forest and mess that up as well.
I'm going to say Wake Forest, yeah. Sorry.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I know. It's terrible. My husband's not sure either.
Well, we have a split house as well, Leigh.
Yeah.
So I understand how that works. So, Leigh, what is something very few people know about you?
Okay, this is funny because Linda and I have been talking about this. I am such an open book. There truly isn't anything that people don't know about me. I mean, really. I can't think of anything. The only thing I kind of thought of, I hate wearing makeup. It's such an arduous chore to put it on. And if you run into me outside of work hours during the weekend or something, I'll have a ball cap on with a Demon Deacon on it.
Well, maybe one thing would be that we did have one spectacular season of Coach Pitch with Adam and William many, many years ago. I guess that was at First Baptist, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Actually, that was a lot of fun.
That was a whole lot of fun.
Linda, what is something very few people know about you?
That I was once certified as an EMT. So if you kill over with a heart attack, I can bring you back. Maybe.
Wow. Maybe we'll see.
Or deliver a baby.
Depending on how well this depending on how well this first
works.
podcast goes, maybe I might need some medical attention if we don't get any further. So we're going to finish up here with just a few more questions. So this is to both of you. So besides the United Way, why would you say Gaston is great?
For its people. I really, truly believe. I mean, I came back to take this job, one, because I miss Gaston County, and Target, because there's not one where I live in the mountains. Let's just be clear. But the people, I believe people in Gaston County are genuine, and I believe they truly care for one another.
Ms. Leigh?
I agree 100%. The people are genuine. They are not superstitious. You got to edit again. They aren't pretentious. And as I said in my opening statement, I was a little nervous about coming over here, but I cannot say enough good about this community. I'm also a huge fan of Crowder's Mountain. Our outdoor activities here go unseen, and that's too bad because there's a lot of beautiful things to do if you're a big outdoors person.
Yeah, I agree. I was able to spend a few years in Raleigh. I've spent some time in other states and cities visiting other contractors, and there is something unique about Gaston County and the community and how we look out for each other and how we care for each other. So it is about the people, and we do. I think it is a kind of a hidden gem here in North Carolina that a lot of people would say the same thing if they were able to spend time here. So tell me something maybe that what you now know that you wished you knew when you were 20 years old, which was, I know, just a few years ago.
You mean yesterday, last year?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, that's a good one. There's so many things when you start looking back, especially when you're getting long in the tooth like I am. I would tell myself not to take myself so seriously. And not worry about what other people may think. Just take that chance, take that leap, and quit worrying about it.
Kind of like not worrying too much about how this podcast is going to turn out today.
That would be true.
No, but that's terrific. That's a great point. You gain some perspective as the years go by, right? And things that seem so big, such a big deal when you were younger aren't necessarily such a big deal.
Right.
Leigh, what about you?
I would say don't be so hard on yourself, especially when it comes to academics, because I was not a stellar student. I struggled and had to really study hard to accomplish what I did, and I was always self-conscious of that, and I let it stop me from doing things that I now know at the ripe age of 57 that I could have done, but I didn't have the self-confidence. So I would tell myself, have self-confidence in yourself. You can do this.
Oh, that's terrific. That's really good. So I guess thanks for sharing that. What would what advice would you give to someone wanting to get involved with an organization like the United Way? How would they go about that, or what advice would you give?
So one of the questions I have back to you with that, is it a volunteer capacity, or would we be talking career capacity?
Yes.
Both. Yes. Okay. As a volunteer, I think all you need is passion and time, and we can hook you up with whatever you want to do. Maybe it's serving pizza at the Boys and Girls Club. Maybe it's helping stock food and pantry shelves at one of our crisis agencies. There's multiple things that we can do. Career-wise, there again, I think you just have to have the passion to want to help others and know that when you help others, it is going to truly make a difference, not only for your community, it's going to also help you inside. It's going to make you know that you've done well to help people and to improve your community. Probably going to need to edit that a little bit too.
Oh, that was terrific. No, that was terrific. Linda?
Yeah, I think particularly if you're looking for a career in something like United Way, I mean, you have to obviously want to help people, and you've got to realize that you're not ever going to be able to totally change everything, which is, I think, we all want to make it all right, and sometimes you just can't make it all right. But to do the best that you can do, you need to have a leadership style, and you need to want to be a leader in something like this. And again, not to take yourself too seriously either in that role. Just be real. I think anybody that works in the health and human service field has to have compassion, has to have some empathy, and I think you'll be successful in something like that.
That's a couple terrific answers. Guys, this has been terrific. I cannot thank you enough for your time, and I cannot thank you enough for the work you are doing here in the community of Gaston County and the difference that you're making. So if we actually have any listeners out there, what can they do to learn more about United Way or get in contact, and what could they do today to help the United Way?
Well, join our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Seek us out. See what's going on a day-to-day basis around the organization. You can easily find a whole lot of information on our website, which is unitedwaygaston.org. So we encourage anybody, first, check us out on social media, and that gives you a whole lot of opportunities to engage further with us.
If somebody wanted to donate, say, to the United Way today, what would they have to do, or how can they do it?
Well, they can go to the website. There's a donate button there that they can do, and that's easy for most people today. If they aren't comfortable with computers, they can reach out to me, and my information is on the website as well. I will be glad to walk them through the process and help them out.
Okay. Well, listen, guys, this has been really good. I want to thank you for helping us take the leap on the very first Gaston's Great podcast. Hopefully this will be the first of many more. And to any listeners that we have out there, I can't thank you enough for listening to today's episode. So please spread the word if you can about this, and please don't hesitate to contact us at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. You can find the podcast and subscribe through the website, gastonsgreat.com, and follow us on social media. You can also find us on most podcast services such as iTunes and the Google Play Store. So I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.